We still do 7 NUFC Matters shows for free a week. But if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast or video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications options. Hit the thanks button to buy a super sticker. You can do this on the live chat too. You can also join our Patreon page or buy us a coffee at the link in all of our video descriptions below. We are also looking for sponsors. If you want our latest advertising rates and how you can get involved, then email John at nufcmatters1892@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.
Hush now, city kids, gather round for urban myths. Hush now, city kids.
When it came to me after so long, I didn't have no choices in the streets where I was from. When I think about the pain, I didn't have no choices. I took what I had sworn.
Hush now, city kids, gather round for urban myths. Hush now, city kids.
But you know, the wouldn't let you have it any other way.
Good evening, welcome along to NUFC Matters. It is the Fans Forum, and it is welcome to Barry, to Darren, to George, to Jeff, to Pablo, to Ian, to Alan, to Kevin, and to you at home. We've got an hour's chat about Newcastle United, and even though it's the summer, always something to talk about. And my first question will go to Barry, who is in the driver's seat tonight, and it is, Barry, as a Newcastle United fan, what do you hate most about the summer?
Ooh. Is that this summer or is it summer in general?
You take your pick, Barry.
This summer, it's got to be the transfer window. I'm getting to the stage now where I just wish it was all done and dusted and we were like ready to kick off again and we knew who we were getting, Steve, and which players were coming in and which players were sold. Because I'm obviously we're talking to the guys there about all the stories that are circulating, and we've gone from like Mitch, I think, said yesterday, we've gone from being the leakiest club out there to being the team who doesn't tell anybody anything. And it's all just gossip and it's all rubbish made up by what you would have had at one stage, legitimate, reliable newspapers, especially the local ones, who now just spurl out a load of crap just to get clickbait. So I'm sitting wanting it to be over and done with and just get ready for the new season, because I think we will purchase players, but I'm sick of waiting. I just want it all finished. I wish I could switch off and obviously not watch the transfer gossip, but obviously I enjoy doing my list and seeing how ridiculous it gets. But at the same time, it's infuriating the hell out of us now. It's like just do something. But I totally agree with what Mitch has said about this at the end of June, beginning of July, where stuff changes in amongst our finances. And obviously, if we're going to do anything, it'll be then. But it's really starting to get to us now. And I'm having to just try and just, like the guys have said, forget about it and just move on from all the clickbait rubbish that's going around. So for me, it's that. I mean, yes, you miss the football and you miss... But thankfully, you guys are still there, and obviously the lads on here, we've got the banter still that goes on about the team and stuff to keep us going. But yeah, I'll be glad when the season starts again.
Speaking of the list, last week you sent it over to us. It was at 94. I presume we've hit the 100 mark since I last got the list off you.
105 we got to today. There's a young Colombian kid who apparently we're looking at as well as three other top teams that are looking at him. It's just getting ridiculous. It's like, I mean, they reckon we're now finally making some inroads on Trafford coming and this, that, and the other. And I'm just thinking, yeah, right. I think we've got more chances signing Darren on a 3-year contract than we have of getting anybody else at the minute.
Yeah, we could play him next to Murphy. What's your what's the biggest? I tell you what, I bet you Murphy would run an extra 100 yards if Darren was behind him.
I guarantee you would.
What's the worst one we've been linked with, Barry? What's the most ludicrous one we've been linked with? Do you think?
God,
Murphy's brother, probably.
Murphy's brother. For me, it's Rashford.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell we would ever. Rashford and Grealish, 2 players who you would say for wages and stuff. We would never sign them in a million years. Wages, ability, attitude. Well, not necessarily ability with Grealish, but attitude-wise, they're not Eddie Howe type players. And I was waiting when you guys were talking yesterday. I thought, how long is it going to be before the rumours go that we're looking to sign Andy Carroll on a pay-as-you-play contract?
Magnus started that off in the chat last night. I told him I was watching Antiques Roadshow. I didn't have time for that nonsense. But interesting stuff. Cheers, Barry. Okay, Darren, what's the thing that what annoys you most about the summer as a Newcastle fan?
Boredom. Just like watching TV when you need football on, or just socialising with people on the field and take a dump or that. I'm some football, and just looking for things to do when you're bored. Mm-hmm. When the football's on, especially on a Saturday, you're getting ready, dog walk, and you put a bed on, and you have your routine. But you've got none of that. It's really just bored of it, and especially on a Saturday, it's just like watching paint dry, isn't it? You know what I mean? I feel like you're like a lost dog, aren't you?
Have you tried to watch any of this World Club Cup, or have you been watching the under-21s?
Yeah, I've watched some of the under-21s, but the World Club, I can't be too with it. It looks boring. It just hasn't really appealed as to watch. I watched England 21s the other day. They looked alright, but I don't think they're going to win it. It'll get beat shortly. But I just miss the boredom what killed me. That's probably the worst bit. I haven't listened to transfer speculation. I know Barry sound talking horror there. I'd be a flying monkeys, me. I'm not listening to any speculation. That's one thing I'm not doing. Reading anything. I'm just staying well away from it. And I think that's better. Barry's I thought Barry's got to kill himself there, Tyne, with it. But I think it's better not listening to any speculation. That's what I've done. And I say I miss what we all muck of Pablo. See what game we're going to do. You know what I mean? On a weekend, just the simple things. See if you miss, dog going on a walk the weekend. He's happy like the dog. So for that's it.
Okay, George, same question to you. Apart from missing your regular Coke off Darren.
I do miss George a big hot Coke. Yeah, I'm never going back and paint again. Never be a half.
I'll be honest, I've changed this year, particularly changed my attitude completely because having just finished what's probably the best season the club's ever had. That's where we are. Only Liverpool won more games than Newcastle United last year. 20 games. Wow. So let's rejoice in that. And I've turned that into a positive rather than all the negatives that come from the speculation. I mean, the speculation today that Gordon's going so we can buy Grealish, for God's sake. I'd be at the lead of the queue to chop the bloody Tyne Bridge down if they did something like that. It would just be ridiculous. So I've tried to turn it into a positive and say it's all coming our way because we're up with the best now, and they're only doing it to try and knock off our perch. So have a go, lads. We're here. We're coming for you very soon when the season starts. So give it your best shot now because you're not going to be able to do anything with it later on. So. As I said, I've just turned it into a positive rather than like last year. It drove us dotty. The stuff about Geehee last year. I mean, I'm sure you all remember Crystal Palace, Parish, is like a leaky sieve. Everything that happened, he was given to the press almost 2 minutes after it was said, sometimes 2 seconds after it was said. He seemed to have the press on the phone. And that was just ridiculous and made a complete mess of all sorts of things. Well, even that's not bothered us this time because they're getting caught because Mr. Geehee won't sign another contract. So he's happy if nothing happens, so he can run it down and he can get a nice big lump up by going before his contract ends, when his contract ends. So I'm turning all that into a positive as far as myself and Newcastle United are concerned. As I say, I regard now that we're up there with the best, and if they're poking holes, it will be because that's where we are. Darren's right about some of it, or Barry's right about some of it. It is disappointing when local papers, the Chronicle particularly, now print some of this stuff almost as routinely as the Nationals do, and that's quite disappointing. It really means that there's not an outlet where you can say that you trust what's happening. I think there's only Liam Kennedy locally. I think I would read at the moment. So yeah, it's there. And as regards as getting bored, well, Steve, I just continue on doing my research for those were the days and other things that you and I do, and keeps my mind going and keeps me interested in football. As to the World Club Championship, I watched a match the other night. I'm trying to think who it was. 0 spectators. 0 in empty stadium. I could not believe it. And I still had to go through with all the paraphernalia of opening and anthems and all that tripe. I mean, 0. It just makes a mockery of it all. It just makes football look totally daft. Under 21, some of it I enjoyed, and I think we're going to have the player that, like we had Gordon the last time, player of the tournament. We're going to have Livramento player of the tournament this time because it's been absolutely outstanding.
Yeah,
both right back and left back, either side. We now actually have a young player who's bothered to work on his weak foot, and his weak foot's nearly as good as his real foot now. And it's been a pleasure to watch him. So, except the other night at the game against Spain when he tore Spain apart, and the Spaniards were deliberately having a kick at him, which resulted in a massive brawl at the end when his mates decided to stick up for him, which good to see as well. But apart from that, I'll not watch any more of the Club World Cup because it's just a nonsense. And we're into semi-final of the under-21s. Well, let's hope they get to the final, and I'll watch that. But other than that, I'll dig around looking at videos from overseas to see if I can see players that would be that possibly coming our way. And in terms of the rumours, the only players I'm interested in are the ones that I see on the pitch at St James's Park with a shirt in front of them saying he's signed. Then I'll get interested. So that's it. That's my summer.
Okay, good stuff. Jeff, I come to you with trepidation here as to what you dislike about the summer the most when there's no football on.
Well, there's no football. We have got the other one, which is this funny red ball, which is quite good fun. And it lasts for ages. And you can go away and come back, and it's still going on. And it's fantastic.
Is that your cat and dog's ball? Is it? Because there was confusion on the last podcast as whether it was a cat or a dog in the background.
The dog thinks he should have this, but if you knew how much cricket balls cost, you wouldn't give it to the dog. Anyway, I hear Mark Viduka's still available. So, what are we going to talk about? I'll tell you this. There's a couple of things I want to talk about because we're in the close season, and frankly, there's nobody watching right now, so we're all right. We'll have a quiet word. First of all, the fanzine. Okay, the moment we have a fanzine, which is a cost to us, right? It costs us to have a fanzine. If we had a really good fanzine, we could sell it to people. We could sell it to the away fans. by being clever and putting a picture of their favourite player on the cover. And we can make lots of money for charity, which is what we're here for. So that's the idea of why not have a good fanzine? We've got all these talented people here who all can write a bit, and some of them know more about an ACL injury than I'd ever want to know, and all sorts of interesting things about tactics and finance and stories about the past, which we're pretty unrivaled because we've got a particular demographic here where we've got most of the senior people in the club. So that's
Speak for yourselves.
Yes. Well, I'm only 38, so I'm all right. So
I represent that remark.
Yes, the other thing I would like to say is that not only could we get together and produce a really fantastic fanzine, obviously there's logistics to sort out as to how we do it, and who we sell it, and how we distribute it, and all the rest of it. But I'd like to talk about how to big up this, click the like button. It's a bit primitive, lads. You can get a lot better than clicking the like button. So, do you want me to talk about that while I'm here?
Well, go for it, Jeff. You've
Okay, right. Let's take the
You've
show
gone over
over.
a tangent, which I didn't expect at all. I mean, just to clarify for those people who might be slightly confused by Jeff, it can happen. We do have the fanzine for sale, 4 issues for £25 from the website, nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk. The link is in the chat. All proceeds going to dementia. 200 copies limited to that. And I didn't do it at the start of the show because obviously I welcomed everybody in, but I would like to thank those people who subscribed last night, which are David Cook, Jared Sue, Pauline Kelly, Barry Cope, W. Hales, Marcus Clausen, and Steve Middlemas. They were the latest. So we're up to 38 subscribers already for next season. And that means only another 162 left to sell, but all the proceeds going to dementia. Carry on, Jeff, about the like button.
Right. So you got your like button, you click it. That's fair enough. Now, you've all got lots of devices, haven't you? You've got a laptop, you've got a phone, you've got a computer, you go to work, there's stuff. All of those can click the like button themselves, right? So you can click about 8 like buttons with every device you've got, right? And same with sharing on social media. You share it to social media. I'm not necessarily interested. A lot of the programs I wouldn't even bother listening to. I'll just share them, right? Because there's only so much time. You can't watch them all. So you put it on your multiple devices. And if you've got a VPN, if you've actually bought a VPN to watch football in strange countries like Hong Kong and places, you can add an extra dimension there by liking it from all sorts of strange countries, which Google will find very interesting. And instead of going and looking for our podcast or whatever on your subscriptions, go look for it on Google. Go into the Google search engine and go nufc.matters and see if it find it that way. Right. That's even more effective way of teaching Google that we're really important. Right. And you can do it for all, this is why you should subscribe to all our rival friendly podcasts. There's no reason why we shouldn't. That all helps. Right. Now, adding comments always helps. Go back. Lots of us do it. We turn up a week later, 2 weeks later, and add comments. And add comments to other people's comments and likes. And what I like to do is add comments in foreign languages. Google does a fantastic service where you can translate it into anything. Magnus has been getting loads of stuff in Icelandic that he never noticed, right? And you'll see stuff in Spanish and Icelandic, and whatever I think is the appropriate language will go in the comments, right? Just bigs it up a little bit. Right. Anything else I can think of? Well, yes. Well, apart from living in foreign languages, using lots of devices, just try and big it up wherever you go. If you're in someone else's house, go on their computer. Right? get their IP address in there. Go in the library. If you're in the library, do it in the library. If you're at university, fantastic. You've got access to all sorts. Anyway, we won't go into that. And I'm going to tell you one joke which I wrote the other day, because I'm writing stuff about football in America, which I think is going to be a great topic. Football in America will be sponsored by Colt, putting the hole in the heart of America. There you go.
Thank you, Jeff. As always, unique to say the least. Just to say that I don't agree with Jeff's comments about Hong Kong being strange. But other than that, I think everything else is clear. Yeah, the chat's interesting. No, the private chat's interesting, Jeff. If you want to dip in there, people having a little bit of a natter whilst you were online. But hey, nothing.
All right, yeah.
Nothing.
I tell you what, a stiff Jack Daniels enema gets anybody up in the morning. I tell you that.
I bet it does.
Best use for it as well.
Pablo, moving on. What is the worst thing about the summer, other than allowing Jeff to take over your YouTube channel to talk about algorithms, likes, videos, and how he's going to redesign the fanzine, create and make more work?
Well, I'll tell you what, there was some excellent segues, Jeff. Well done. What time did you come back from Colombia this afternoon? The summer-wise, I was thinking about this when all the lads were talking about it, and usually I'd be on board with that. But this summer, I think after the nervous system had taken the beating that it did on the last day of the season or the last month, I think I tried to do what all footballers do, and I give myself a little end of season break. So I've gone on holiday. I've eaten my body weight 3 times over. And I think on holiday, it was my missus who was nudging me saying, oh, look, we're linked with him. So I tried to purposely stay away from it. I don't know, it sounds stupid on my pink Lilo, but I was not interested in football. But I think now, after a few weeks, I've now started to get the itch. So I'm walking around the house looking at walls, dinting walls so I can fix them. That's how bad life's become. But I think the transfer talk, I think we've experienced this now for 2 or 3 windows. And I think we've got our hopes up that much on people like, you said before, Gay and all that stuff. I think we're quite hardened to transfer talk in general. And I think the club has changed tact. I think they're trying to keep business under wraps, or at least that's, I hope, what they're doing. But yeah, the odd phone call to Darren now and then keeps me topped up on my football miss. But I definitely need to get back into pre-season training, lads, because I've put on some timber on the old belly bob. So yeah, looking forward to it starting again. The Club World Cup, George. I kind of get what you're saying, but I used to get quite excited by the Club World Cup. You had your South American Boca Juniors taking on a European club, and I think it still had the emotion. Then it still had the kind of the authentic kind of feel to it. But I think now the way this one's been billed in America, it is purely just a money spinner, isn't it? I mean, anything in America,
it is,
and it's kind of. So if you ask me about the passion of it and the real love of football, I'd love to see South American teams, pit the wits against us. But I think it has just been one big kind of dally dance on it, really.
Yeah, Man U stole that a while ago when they declined to play. Was it FA Cups, something like that?
Yeah, it was the FA Cup, Jeff. Yep.
Yeah. So in essence, I love it. The under-21s. I had a chat with the missus before actually about Tino. And the only way I can see why I know why he sent him to the under-21 tournament, and I think he sent him on a mission, or I hope he has, to go and get a little bit of tournament experience, because you will be in that World Cup squad. We're messing around with like Kyle Walker. I think he's just filling a gap. I think he's told Tino and a few others like him, go and get this last one under your belt, lads, because next year I'm calling you. I hope so, anyway.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good points. Ian, welcome back to the show. And just the worst thing about the summer for you, mate. What gets in your wick? Why? What, as a Newcastle fan?
I think everything that everyone else has said. There's not much more to cover, really. The stupid transfer rumours. There's one today. I don't know whether Barry's picked up on this one. The kid, I can't remember his name. The Turkish kid from Real Madrid. He's allegedly coming on loan or something. That's one that I heard. Even though I think Eddie Howe's come out and said 100 times he's only going to sign players on loan that are going to come in permanent, so, and I think he's got a £1 billion release clause on him or something like that, so I can't see that one happening. Just the lack of football, or the lack of quality football that I want to watch anyway. The only thing I've noticed about the tournament in America is that PSG fans were kicking off again. That's about as much as I've seen from it. They were fighting in the stands I can't remember which team it was now, with one of the South American teams. Under 21s, like you lads, I've seen. I've not actually sat down and watched games. I've seen clips and highlights. Tino, from what I've seen, looks excellent in the last game. I seen him charging through on goal from wide out on the right, and yeah, he looks like he's enjoying his football out there. So good on him. Hopefully, Pablo's right, and he is just giving him that tournament experience to come in next season for us. I'm sorry, I've just seen Barry. Yeah, it is sunburn. It's not sunburn. That's a suntan. It's a tan, not burn. High blood pressure and tan mixed together. Yeah, but apart from that, I've had a bit of a rest from it, and but I'm ready to go again now. I'm looking forward to the new season. I think everybody worrying about transfers, like many people have said, we're out of the PSR restricted period on July the 1st, so we might see that there's some fresh faces coming quite early on in the first week or two. Hopefully there is before we start pre-season. So I'm just looking forward to it more than anything.
Okay, good stuff, Alan.
Well, lads, I would take a little bit of everybody that's been on the show. Like Darren says about Boredom. Boredom was 4 years ago when you saw Keith Downey on the last day in the transfer window and we had nothing to report. That was boredom. All the rumours about transfers. Well, the worst one for me, lads, has been Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy. You must sell Isaac. If Newcastle get a bid in of 150 million, you must sell him. Would they sell him? If they had Cole Palmer, would they promote them selling their best player for the biggest rival in the league? The hypocrisy of the Southern press is unbelievable. So all the transfer rumours, I've just took it to one side. I agree what Ian's last comment is. I don't think anything's going to happen, lads, until July the 1st, when the accounts, and it's sad that we're all talking about accountants and how much money we can spend when we've got the richest owners in the world. It's
only next week, though, Al, isn't it?
Yeah, it's only next week, Ian. I agree with Jeff. I hate to say it, Steve, I don't think you're a keen lover, but I'm a great cricket fan, so I'm right into my cricket anyway, so I won't get bored. I agree with George. Tino was absolutely superb against Spain and stood out a mile on the team. And no wonder Man City have been linked with him for 40 million, which is just absolutely outrageous anyway. I don't think any of our players are going anywhere but top players. And if they do, lads, then I don't think we're serious as a big club. If we sell one or two of our top players to finance more deals, I seriously don't think we're a serious club. We're a club that will finish in the top 10 all the time. PSR, unfortunately, is constrained with not because the players don't want to go, it's because of wages. All the top clubs, if you notice, Marquee, all of them, they're more than welcome to come to our club, but we can only offer them 150,000, outrageous figure, £150,000 a week. But Liverpool and the rest of them, Man United, Chelsea, can somehow offer them £200,000-300,000 a week. We can't compete with that until, again, what George and other lads and the professionals have mentioned, until our turnover changes. So I'm not bored, Steve. I'm excited. I was bored 4 years ago when we didn't have the takeover, but now we cannot be bored, Darren, because of all the transfer rumours.
I'm just bored, like nothing to watch, mate. It's nothing to do. I'm not bored listening to transfer news, mate. I'm a bit Pablo. It's my pre-season. I'm just bored at weekends. That's what I meant. So I'm not bored. I'm just bored not watching like football on TV. I love your football. I'm not going to watch. That's what I'm bored of. Not Newcastle or thing. But, you know what I mean?
No problem, Darren. It's just I take it everything off what Pablo and all the lads have spoken about. But like I say, Steve, looking forward to it. I'm just hoping, like Barry, your worry is I'm getting like you, Steve. We won't spend as much as I want to spend. What you said about transfer a couple of weeks ago. I'm starting to be in your camp now that we won't spend what we should spend. So that's a bit of a worry. We're not having to see a Euro and not having a sporting director at the club. So that's the biggest worries of all. But other than that, I'll let Kevin get on. But I'm excited but worried at the same time. So I'm not worried at all.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff, Kev.
And enjoying good football. I mean, everybody's mentioned the Club World Cup and all that, but again, over here you've got two tournaments going on at the same time. You've got the Gold Cup, which is international, and then you've got a Club World Cup, which half the players playing in the Club World Cup can't play in the Gold Cup. So again, it's a big, massive money spinner for the federations in both contexts, for CONCACAF and FIFA. Essentially, that's why you get no full stadiums. That's why they had to drop prices by 75% to like $35, $40 a ticket, even to get into Mercedes-Benz, relatively close to me. That wasn't full the game I watched. So again, agree with Pablo. It's like a reset for me. You know what I do? It's a full reset. I work 6 months of the year, 7 days a week, constant football. That's all I do. And so it's a nice reset, even though I'm sitting in 38 degrees heat right now and doing this, but at the same time, it's not a bad life that I have, but it's just a nice reset. Played golf yesterday, so I intertwine myself with other things to try and just get away from all the noise of what's going on and around the club, to be perfectly honest. And then because I'm involved in it, I like to completely separate myself away from it as far as I possibly can. And then when the true transfer window hits, when the rubber hits the road, as the phrase, that's when I saw kind of perk the interest, start really looking at it a little bit more intently. And again, regarding the signing stuff, as we've always said, once you stand there or signing, look in the boardroom or signing his paperwork and with the flag, scarf above his head, that's when it's real. That's when I don't care about the rumor, the clickbait crap. I don't even bother reading it. I just when it happens, it happens. But yeah, so that's what kind of I do. Really, I don't really do anything across the summer. Get a suntan, go down to the beach, play a bit of golf, sweat my nuts off, and live with what's going on in this country right now, to be perfectly honest. But that's another topic for possibly another day. But yeah, so that's what I get up to across the summer.
Okay, good stuff. We halfway through the show. We'll have a quick ad break. We'll be back after this.
A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Contact them at www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at their website, mrvickies.co.uk. Email info@mrvickies.co.uk or telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to our fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. 2 crew driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels and no interchanges. Hot and cold snacks and drinks available on the coach, all excursions included. Their website, unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com. Telephone 01670 632 460 or 0791 666 4174. Just £30 per person deposit. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the technical side of things. And if you like listening to us as a podcast, you can go to Sports Social Podcast Network or to iTunes, Spotify, or other podcast providers. If you want to support the show, then hit the subscribe button. It's free. We do 7 shows a week. Hit the little thumb up under the video, which is the like button, or click share to share to your social media. You can also join the channel on YouTube by hitting the join button for as little as $1.99 a month. If you want to become an NUFC Matters member, you can go to nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk. It's a £25 one-off fee. You get your pen, you get your badge, a key ring, you get your beer mat and your fridge magnet and your membership card, nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk for that. And we have an event early next year, 13th of February 2026, an evening with Beardsley, Waddle and Gascoigne takes place at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House. To buy your tickets for that event, go to the box office 0191 243 1171 or Tyne Theatre and Opera House.uk.
And as I mentioned earlier, the fanzine is available for next season. 4 issues for £27.50. We've knocked £2.50 off those, so it's £25. That includes your postage, and it's limited to 200 copies next season, as it was this year. All proceeds going to Age UK North Tyneside. And if you are waiting for your issue 4, well, it should be posted out hopefully the back end of this week. So that will be sent out. And I know a couple of you are missing issue 3 for various reasons, so we will include your issue 3 with your issue 4. And I think Steve Middlemas, for some reason, is missing 2 issues, so I will stick yours in the post, mate. But yes, great stuff. Thank you to everyone who's contributed some great articles. I've got to say issue 4 out of all of them is probably the best one of the season. And that's not just because Jeff's submitted a couple of articles. There's some great writing from the Geordie dentist in there in particular. Mitch's 2 articles are on the money. Stu's and Mitch and Steve Hastie's as well. So they should be winging their way to you before the end of, hopefully before the end of this month, which means they're a month earlier than we expected. End of season dues on Friday, 7 till 11. The lads won't be on until probably about 9 o'clock. They'll be doing an hour's talk with Gibbo. I know there's quite a few of you in the chat going, and 1 or 2 people from up and down the country who bought tickets via the website. So thanks for your support for that. And we are going to have another get-together at the end of July. It's a free event. Tickets will be going up for this probably at the end of the week. Once we've found out what we're going to be giving away as a prize, but it's going to be a free entry event at the Irish Club. It's going to be a chance to come and watch the Carabao Cup final again in aid of Age UK, but there will be a prize associated with that entry. So when you click the entry, you must attend to be in with a chance of winning the prize. But the prize and everything will be announced when we do the Amigos at the weekend. The Amigos, by the way, will be on Sunday, and we'll combine it with the professionals on Sunday. But most of the programs have been loaded now on the channel, so you'll be able to see what's coming up when. Tomorrow afternoon, me and George will be live doing part 2 of those with the days looking back at last season. And Wednesday night, I'll be doing a one-on-one with Kev, which we're pre-recording after this show. And Thursday and Friday, they are already up and loaded. I'm going to be doing a live Q&A. And Friday will be a pre-recorded book interview, I think I did with David Kelly. Saturday and Sunday to be confirmed. Saturday, but Sunday is the Amigos at 5 o'clock. So that's your week sorted out. Kev, going to come to you now. The club have announced today that Dan Burn has been voted the player of the season for Newcastle United. I don't think many people could argue with that. He got 52% of the vote from those people who took their time to reply to the club's emails and click on the links on the website. And I mean, he joins such a wonderful list of people. He joins the likes of Alan Shearer, of course, Peter Beardsley, Kevin Keegan, who was a double winner, of course, the 2 seasons he was here. Gaza won it in 87, 88. The entertainers years when Alan didn't win it, it was the likes of Darren Peacock, Steve Watson, David Batty, Barry Venison. And then obviously into the Sir Bobby years, Shea Gibbon, Nobby Solano won it. In more recent times, you're looking at Anthony Gordon, Kieran Trippier, Joe Linton, and Callum Wilson and Martin Dubravka, who've all had the honour. But Dan Burn winning it this season, Kevin, he deserved it, I think, didn't he? Especially with that goal that he scored in the cup final.
I totally agree. And not just that, I think it was the more consistent performances from game 1 right through game 38 plus cups. I think the measure of the man, if you look at it off the field more than anything, you see what he does through in the community, because this is where he's from. It goes more than just kicking a bag of air around for 90 minutes on a Saturday. I think it's more than that. That's a player of the season for me, like a man in the NFL. But it's just on a consistent basis where he's performed week in, week out, never injured, gets on with it, does the hard yards. And I think most players, I think even senior players, take a look at him and sort of say this is the gold standard of how to be a Newcastle United footballer. So yeah, very proud of him. Obviously a local lad, as we all know. But can't complain with that. And obviously we know absolutely jack crap about football because we all said Sandro Tonali, maybe outside of Barry. But congratulations to him, and hopefully he continues it on and gets more future England call-ups as well, which is another big bonus for him, which I forgot to mention. But yeah, congratulations to the big lad, and continue on next season, mate.
Yeah, good stuff. You, and is that the right person won the award? Do you think? I mean, obviously 52% of the votes. If you've given it to anybody else, Alan.
Oh, sorry, Steve. Well, there was for once, lads, there was about 5 in contention, wasn't there, for player of the season? If Tonali had started and been a regular at the start of the season, I would say he would probably won it hands down for talent. But you cannot argue with Dan Burn. Consistency, like Kevin said, was fantastic, and for showing the club in a good light and the different things he did throughout the season and culminating in the final cup goal, Steve, it was outstanding. And he's like a standard bearer for pushing a car, different things off the football pitch as well, helping people out. He's the iconic symbol of what a Newcastle player should be. But a special mention to Darren's best friend, Murphy, he was there. Lewis Hall, what a shame about him, because he would have got my vote if he hadn't got injured. He was constant from the start. People have got to remember, Tonali wasn't hardly in the team until December, but from December onwards, he was absolutely phenomenal. So I'll cut short, Steve. Worthy winner. Fantastic to have him in the team. And basically for a stopgap for 2 or 3 years, he's been an iconic symbol. He'll be a legend forevermore at the club for winning the trophy.
He hasn't won a World Cup though, Ellen, legend.
He's a legend because he's won a cup, Darren. He's won a cup.
You said a legend would win the World Cup or Euros though.
For legend, we're talking about England players, Darren.
But you said legend was winning the World Cup.
As an England player, there's only been, in my life, it's just my opinion, Darren. There's only been about 3 or 4 England players that are world class, in my opinion, that I've ever seen. As an England player, as a Newcastle player, he becomes a legend. That's all I'm saying.
No way.
Interesting, as always. Darren finds something to grumble about, even in the pre-season. Ian, Dan Burn, worthy winner.
I've missed this, Steve. It's the best way to start a week off this week.
Come on, Ian. Come on. Back us up.
He's like, we could do with Darren in the we could do with Darren in the Middle East, because he sorted these differences out with George by buying him half a Coke every match game. I don't know how he's going to sort it out.
Bribery, Steve. Bribery.
Yeah.
It's tolerant piss off straight away out of him. He ran if Darren turned up doing the negotiations. What were we on about? Dan Burn, yeah, he deserved it. My pick was Tonali. To be fair, I thought Tonali was made, like, the difference when he managed to get his foot into the team. I thought he was excellent. I agree with everything that we've all said before. There was lots of players in there that could have won it, 4 or 5, I'd say. But I think Dan Burn gets it. Dan Burn's season turned around when he got his picture taken with me outside the pub next to his kid's school. So he seemed to pick up after that.
You've never mentioned that, Ian.
No. It's like Pablo and his holiday. It's never been mentioned. I think he's a worthy winner. Deserved it. He was always going to win it. I think he's been legendary on and off the pitch. Just what else can you say? He's a leader, and that's why he broke into the England squad at the age of 32. In it, he is a leader, and he said that himself in his interview. You wouldn't want to argue with him, like, he's a big lad, isn't he? And but he's also. Oh, you fucking guy! You're like the Kofi Annan of the fans forum. You're the mediator. That was said ironically. Well deserved, mate, and I'm buzzing for him, because that'll mean more to him than it would mean to anybody else in that team. I'm sure of that.
Okay, good stuff, Pablo. Happy to see Dan Burn win that award.
I can't get the image of Darren in Iran for some reason out of my mind. Podcast, couldn't it? Darren in Iran. No, for me, listen, I'll get to Dan Burn in a minute. Purely on the grass, looking at it as football on the pitch, I would have gone with Tonali. But then when you look at Dan Burn and Dan Burn comes out winning it, you start to look into it a little bit more and think, you know what? For me, it's not just player of the season. For me, it's been 2 years. With what he's done for us, how he's helped us out at left back, the way he's kind of propelled and put some standards and feeling and emotion back into the club. He's kind of joined the fans. He's connected everyone. Obviously, local lad. And his performances this season have been phenomenal, you know, ending in the goal in the cup final. But he is the epitome, really, of what we want at Newcastle United, because Dan Burn is not Franz Beckenbauer. He's not Paolo Maldini. But I tell you what he will do, he'll give you 120% every week. And you know what? He'll make mistakes. He's a big, cumbersome lad, and he has made some mistakes this year, but also he's made up for that. But what he gives is his heart on his sleeve, the way he projects himself when he's away from the football pitch with the youngsters, with the public. Then for me, it's just a right big fitting tribute to what he's contributed to us as a club. And yes, he hasn't got it right every week, but he's done a hell of a lot more right than what he's done wrong.
Okay. What's your feelings on Dan Burn getting the award, Jeff?
Well, I think, you know, it's art imitating life or life imitating art, one of those two. It's such a sort of romantic story, and it's great. And I would have picked Tonali. Or possibly Callum Wilson, but then again, that would be just as strange. No, I'm a big fan of Tonali generally. I think he really made a difference. But it's difficult to say that when we probably got one of the best midfields in the world. You know, with Bruno and Tonali and what's his face out there who's been injured. Yeah, it's a bit sad. But with a midfield like that, it's very hard to judge because they are all so good. And a lot of the young lads coming through have you know, I'm not sure if Miley's done quite as well as I thought he would do this year. But the lads playing out wide have done really well. And I'd like to give Dan Burn his special award, perhaps a statue somewhere in the harbour at Blythe. You could see coming across the sea, a big tall statue of Dan Burn reaching the sky.
Just right outside Darren's house, Jeff.
Yes, that's the one.
Imagine cleaning the seagull shit off that.
That's Murphy outside his house.
Yeah.
Barry, outside.
Yeah. There's a lot of work for sculptors in the northeast as well. I mean, there's the Bruce Monument, which is going to be a huge hole in the ground.
Big thank you to David Cook, who has just purchased two fanzines for next season, 2 subscriptions, one for Les and one for Jules in the chat. Both of them who do sterling work, and he's asked me to send those fanzines to them throughout the season. So there you go, Les. That's David Cook, who's in the chat, has purchased one for you and one for Jules. So thank you for doing that, David. Much appreciated. George, Dan Burn.
Yeah, I mean, it's the big romantic story, as Jeff's just said. I've got to say, though, that I picked up something that Denise put on the chat line before, saying that isn't it great that out of all of us who watch it regularly, we could all pick a number of players in our team.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't just Tonali. It could have been Bruno. Some people like Lewis Hall, some people like Tino. I mean, isn't it great that amongst us we can all think of players who were in the shout for this? The big advantage Dan has is that his localness, as Jeff said, is a romantic story, isn't it? It's rags to riches. It's everything that you would like your hero to be, and that's, to me, that's really important. I get tired of these people being put out on pedestals as heroes. And when you dig a bit deeper, they're not so heroic after all. They're bloody gangsters or something like that behind the scenes. Not Dan Burn. He's everybody's brother. He's everybody's uncle. He's you know, he'll push your car. He'll sell your meat in the market. He'll sell your fish and chips at Blythe. You do it, and Dan Burn's there. I mean, he really has that big advantage. So I've got no hesitation in accepting that was the right thing to do. I've got to say it. And bearing in mind, early in the season, there were 1 or 2 games where he was taking some brickbats. It wasn't all 100% Dan Burn all the time. There were a couple of games where he was getting some stick off supporters for a little while. So he's overrode all of that. And then somebody totally devoid from the club, Thomas Tuchel, comes on the scene and sees something in Dan Burn that he wants in the England dressing room. I'm not saying Dan Burn's going to be a fixture in the team, but he sees something in Dan Burn he wants in the England dressing room. And that's got to be great as well. So all that goes towards making him player of the season. And I think we'd be hard pushed to have a better representative for our club. I mean, you all know Tonali would have been my favourite. Somebody said on the grass, but it's more than on the grass. This is doing all the little things, the pushing the car and all of that sort of stuff. And so Dan Burn deceives it. I've got to say, Jeff, I was surprised when you mentioned Jack Daniels earlier on. I was imagining to see a big thing on the bottom from Denise saying, hands off, because that's her favourite tipple.
All right.
Yes. I mean, the fact that Jack Daniels was mentioned in the same word as enema was a bit strange. But
well, yes, sorry. Yes, I was just straightening it up a bit. Yes.
That is, Jeff. I wish Darren would straighten that picture up. Maybe it's the way that he's got his word. Anyway, Darren, I'm surprised Darren isn't loud for once, says Tilly. Tilly's in the chat tonight, giving Darren loads of grief as usual. I love the fact as well that Mark is now giving Darren the nickname Darren Iran. It's pretty good. Who would you rather have on the right wing, Jacob Murphy or Simon Le Bon, Darren?
You dog buster.
You dog buster. Bad manners, that. Dan Burn, player of the season. Are you happy with that, Darren?
No. He had a bad start of the season. Yes, he scored a cup goal. Well done. Helped win the cup. But when Alan Gann is a legend, I just completely disagree.
Oh, I didn't hear you.
He said a legend was it. You would call his team. He said a legend was if you won a World Cup, if you won a Euro Cup, and Dan Burn has not done that. That was his. He said that. We all know he did.
Mm-hmm. What I'm talking about England players.
I'm not talking about England players.
We all know that England players.
Can I have my say, please?
Darren's not. Darren, you know that Dan Burn is not an England legend. That's what I'm saying.
No, you said a legend was. But let me have my say. Let me have my say. That legend was you won a World Cup or a Euros. Dan Burn has not done that, right? That was your status. You said Shearer was a legend. Wasn't a legend, didn't you? He has no feeling like that. So Dan Burn is not a fucking legend. Sorry, not a legend. Right? So he's a good player, a role model off the pitch. He's far from a legend. England are desperate because they've got Dan Burn in the squad. That's how England's defence are. When Dan Burn comes, anybody pace, he's going to get left stand. Right? That's my opinion. Yes, he's England better, 32, but you give him Kylian Mbappe or the proper forward for pace, Dan Burn's back in the changing room. You know what I mean? From shirts. But Tonali was my player of the season. Had a good coming September. And he's got strong and strong all the way through. So that's my rant out of the way because I was just trying to get one go to people. You know what I mean?
All right, okay, fair enough. Last but by no means least, Barry, Dan Burn with the Player of the Season award, 52% from the Newcastle United vote. What was your feelings when you heard that today?
Yeah, I mean, as was mentioned before, Burns, my favourite team player, has been all season. Darren's right; he hasn't been the greatest player in the world. There'll have been better players on the pitch. For me, it's the package with Dan Burn. You could cut him. You could cut his arm and he would bleed black and white. Everything about him emphasises the fans. He's the closest player in the squad who relates to us as fans. I don't think there's anybody else who does that really. for me. I mean, I've had the pleasure of meeting Dan Burn at the hospital, and I was just like blown away by the guy. He's so down to earth. He's so honest. He admits he's not the greatest player in the world, but what he gives you is 200% every day of the week. You cannot knock his commitment to the club. I just think he would do anything for Eddie Howe. He's not the greatest centre half in the world, but you can rely on him 200% to give his best. At times he's going to get skinned for speed. We've all said it on here that he sometimes somebody comes at him with pace and he'll get left for dead. But he just, everything about him is black and white. You know, he's one of those legends. He deserves it based on what he brings to the club, not just his footballing ability. I know what Darren's saying. There are better footballers at the club that you would. It's everything about him. He's respect for the club. He gets it. He gets the dream. And you know, he's for me, he's brought that dream to so many fans with his goal at Wembley. That header, just that got me right there when that went in for him, of all people, to score that goal at Wembley. He's the one who you'd want to do it, because he gets it.
Brilliant header as well. Brilliant header as well.
It was, and it just, for me, he's a class player. He's a class ambassador for the club. I think he will now. Not that I want to see him fade away, but I think we will move on. He will be possibly more of a squad player this season. So you've got to, for me, he deserves what he's getting for the season he's had. To get in the England side, which I never believed in a million years, because I do think there's better English centre-halves out there. But he obviously does. The England manager has spotted something in him, something in his attitude, something in his personality, or whatever it is that has made him into the England team. Because ability-wise, I don't know if he's up there that he would be, but there's something about him. He deserves it. I agree with the guys. Tonali, for me, is, if you asked us who was the best player of the season, who was Newcastle's best player, I would say Tonali by an absolute country mile. Who gets it, as in the whole package of the club, Newcastle United, and what the fans and what it means to the fans, I would give it to Dan Burn every day, Steve. Yeah, he gets it, and I bless him. Unbelievable player and just great servant of the club.
Great stuff. The clock has beaten us. Thanks to everybody for tuning in tonight. Great show, great live show. Back live tomorrow, 1:00 in the afternoon, with the great George Mitchell, looking back at part 2 of last season. In those were the days, from Jack Daniels enemas to Dan Burns package. It's been an eventful one. See you all next Monday, 6:00 for the fans.
Yes,
have a good week.
See you on Friday.
See you, lad.